It is day 248 of the second Trump administration. And tonight, MSNBC is reporting that former FBI Director Jim Comey, on your screen right there, is expected to be indicted in the Eastern District of Virginia. According to our reporters, if it goes forward, sources believe the Justice Department will accuse Comey of lying to Congress in 2020 about whether he authorized leaks of information. And the 5-year statute of limitations runs out next week. It comes as Trump has renewed pressure on Attorney General Pam Bondi to investigate his political rivals, including, of course, the former FBI director. Just this Saturday, Trump said Comey, along with California Senator Adam Schiff and New York Attorney General Letitia James, were, quote, guilty as hell, and that nothing was being done about it. And please remember, the top prosecutor, this couldn't be more important, the top prosecutor in the Eastern District of Virginia was fired and replaced with one of Trump's personal lawyers after he refused to indict New York's Attorney General. Joining me now to discuss is one of the superstar reporters who got this scoop, my dear friend Ken Delaney, an MSNBC and intelligence correspondent. Ken, walk us through this. This is your reporting. What do we need to know? Like, what is he like? Walk us through what they're even accusing him of specifically.
It's not really clear to us because these are facts that have been known for a long time. They've been the subject of Inspector General reports and Senate testimony. What we think they're focusing on is an answer that he gave to Ted Cruz in that September 2020 hearing that you mentioned. The statute of limitations lapses on Tuesday for this, where Cruz asked him about a previous question that had been put to him by Senator Grassley back in 2017 about whether he had authorized the leak of information. And there's a thing that happened during the Crossfire Hurricane matter, during those days when the FBI was investigating Trump and Russia, where his deputy, Andrew McCabe, had talked to the Wall Street Journal about a story about a criminal investigation of the Clinton Foundation. And Comey said that he didn't authorize that. And Comey testified under oath, no, I didn't authorize that. Now, McCabe has apparently said that he did, but the Inspector General looked into it and found that, in fact, there was no evidence that Comey authorized it and concluded that he didn't. So on this flimsy rod, a perjury charge appears to be being constructed here, and they're going to accuse him of lying to Congress, a few days before the statute of limitation lapses. And Steph, I got to say, if you had told me the day after Donald Trump was elected, that 8 months into the term, this is where we would be with the criminal justice system and the Justice Department, I would have said, Stephanie, let's not go too far. I mean, come on. I mean, this is really incredible. People need to understand what's going on here. The White House is calling the shots on who gets indicted, essentially. Donald Trump posts on Truth Social to his Attorney General, we need to charge these people. Comey, he mentions Comey, he mentions Letitia James. He fires the U.S. Attorney, his own appointee, a Republican, who had been resisting and who said, wait a second, there's not enough evidence to file these charges. So he gets rid of that guy and brings in a person with no prosecutorial experience, his former defense lawyer, Lindsey Halligan, to be the new U.S. Attorney, and now they're going forward. It's just incredible.
Can you just back that part up just one more second? I want you to underline it. The U.S. Attorney that he punted from Virginia was not some Biden holdover, right? Because they love to say, no, this is about politics. It was a Trump appointee.
Absolutely. The man Donald Trump picked to run that office. Now, and he's a former D.C. police officer. He's a really interesting guy. He was a career prosecutor, though. He'd worked in that office, a nonpartisan career prosecutor, but clearly he was a MAGA guy because they picked him. They're vetting all these people. They're not doing this they're not picking closet Democrats to run these U.S. attorneys' offices. But he also is a man of integrity, and he looked at the evidence and said, there's no case here, both on the Tish James matter, we're told, and on this Comey matter. And so they showed him the door. They've unceremonious. Trump bragged about it. He said, Eric Siebert, actually, the U.S. attorney, he actually resigned under pressure. But Trump then went on social media and said, he didn't quit. I fired him. Proudly, he did so. And now they're moving forward with these cases. Now, there's still some question, I think, as to whether the grand juries in these cases will actually go forward with the indictment. We've seen grand juries in other contexts resisting some of the things that Trump prosecutors are trying to do, Steph.
All right, I can't let you go until we talk about the other major story tonight in Dallas. A deadly sniper attack at a U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement facility. What do we know?
Yes, well, this is a really obviously horrible situation, and we don't know everything yet about the motive, but we do know that the FBI found bullets, one of which was inscribed with the message anti-ICE. And this man, the shooter, was perched on a rooftop, and he fired an assault rifle indiscriminately into a crowd of both ICE agents and migrants, and he hit migrants. But authorities clearly believe he was aiming for ICE agents, and this appears to be part of a kind of a wave of left-wing violence going back to Luigi Mangione allegedly killing the United Healthcare CEO in New York, and of course the assassination of Charlie Kirk. So and obviously there's been right-wing motivated political violence as well. We're in a situation now where the extremes on both sides are deciding that they need to kill people to make their political points in this country, and there's ample weapons around for them to do it, and it's a really horrible situation. So 1 migrant dead, 2 wounded, no ICE agents killed, and the shooter dead of a self-inflicted gunshot wound, Stephanie.
My goodness, Ken, thank you so much. Really important reporting. I appreciate you joining us tonight. Let's bring in our nightcap. Evan McMorris-Santoro is here, reporter for Notice. Katie Drummond, global editorial director for Wired. And let's point out that Wired has been en fuego in the last 6 months. Their most recent issue explores big tech's influence over the government. And let's be clear, it's been really big. And David Litt is here, former presidential speechwriter and author of the book, It's Only Drowning, a true story of learning to surf and the pursuit of common ground. David, the president has made absolutely no secret about wanting his Justice Department to go after his political enemies. Your thoughts on this Comey indictment? Because, you know, all these things we could say, like, this is crazy. I can't believe it's happening. The president has said this was going to happen over and over and over.
I think that's an important point, because my first reaction was, this is crazy. I can't believe this is happening. But I think what you're saying and getting to is, it's not just what the president wants. We know that what he wants is to reverse the order where he says this person is guilty. We don't know of what yet. We'll find out. We'll figure it out if they don't like Trump. What is remarkable is, yet again, that the Republican Party is letting him do this. I mean, I'm thinking about Alberto Gonzales, George W. Bush's Attorney General. They replaced, what was it, 6 U.S. attorneys, or 8 or 9, some small number, but with loyal Bushies was the phrase. And he had to resign because that was such a big scandal. Trump has now replaced every U.S. attorney with somebody who is loyal to MAGA. And in fact, he replaced his own MAGA attorney with an even more loyal MAGA attorney. And yet Republicans in the Senate, they're not saying anything about it because they're fine with it.
What is Pam Bondi's role here? If the president is making it clear, if he is publicly saying, this is what we're doing, this is who we're going for, this idea of 3 separate but equal branches of government, which is hugely important to the foundation and structure of our country, feels like it's going by the wayside.
Well, this administration said from the beginning, right, that the DOJ serves the president.
And by the way, it's what Trump
serves the president.
wanted in his first term.
That's right, and it was hard to pull off then. But this idea of the Senate not getting involved is very important. But this is also a thing where this is kind of Trump trying to prove his point, right? Because you look back, he looks at all the prosecutions that he faced as being fake, trumped up charges, political charges. Now there are political charges, and so they can sort of point at those and say, look, you know, like I said, political charges, everybody loves to do them. We're doing them now because they were done to us. This is kind of what, this is a messaging thing as much as it is kind of a actual legal thing, right? But the other part of this really is this thing that this president thinks that the entire government, the executive branch, serves at his pleasure to do what he wants it to do. This is a thing that his people believe, and he has not had anybody tell him otherwise in the U.S. Senate from the people who are in power there.
Why do it this way? Is the president hurting his own retribution agenda by publicly naming the people he wants Pam Bondi to go after?
Well, it certainly doesn't seem like it so far. I mean, he's been able to get away with this for months and months on end. And I think, you know, one thing that stands out to me as someone who is not as close to these types of issues as the two of you is with Trump so often, right, like the chaos is the point. So he can publicly name and publicly shame and point fingers and get on X and post whatever he wants. It's incredibly difficult for the average American to keep up with, okay, this guy's in, this guy's out, this guy's indicted, Comey, what did he do again, right? It all sort of collides together into this giant ball of chaos where what's happening is ultimately despicable. But the average American, I think, has a very difficult time even discerning what Trump is up to here.
And
which I
they're
think is part of the
exhausted by
point.
it. Let's turn to the looming government shutdown, because that is something, right? Whether or not Jim Comey is indicted isn't on people's mind, but a government shutdown can and will be. And I want to share what Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer said earlier today. Watch this.
And we Democrats definitely want to avert a shutdown. We know how bad it is. And we're asking something very simple, Joe, for the president to sit down and talk with us. You know, he's not the king. He can't just dictate what happens. Ask the Republicans. First, they control the show. They have the presidency, they have the Senate, they have the House. So they're in charge. And God forbid there's a shutdown, which we don't want. American people are going to know they're in charge and say, what the heck?
But who do you think would own a shutdown? Whose messaging looks stronger? Because to Katie's point, the messages rarely get to the majority of the American people, but the impact does.
Usually with the shutdown, whoever is deemed the one causing the shutdown is the one that suffers politically, whichever party. And I think in this case, Trump may be snatching defeat from the jaws of victory here. I mean, I was worried as a Democrat.
I don't know what that means.
Me neither.
Yeah. In other words, I think that what Chuck Schumer and some of the other Democrats were having this public debate of should we shut down the government.
Mm-hmm.
If you're debating should we shut down the government and then the government shuts down, people will say, well, clearly you decided to shut down the government. But now Trump is not even meeting with Democrats. And so suddenly he's the one who seems that he's being too stubborn, that he's the one saying, I don't care what happens. And you see Schumer saying, all right, I might seize that opportunity. So I'm now losing track, but I would say that was the defeat that Trump may be snatching from the jaws of victory.